What's up, guys? How we doing? Little Tuesday night hangout, 8:30 Eastern. I scheduled this thing for 8:20. So that's par for the course. Apologies. It was me, yes. I that's why I try to let people know whenever it's somebody else's fault for starting late, because it's usually my fault. I was getting back late from a workout, so that was my fault. Apologies to everybody else. Shout out to everyone in the chat, though, for hanging out, staying tuned, waiting for us to go live. The Ant-Man in the house. Anthony, what's up?
What's up, everybody? How you doing? I feel like it's been months since we spoke because you went on your well-deserved vacation, and I was dealing with busted pipes and whatever else was going on here. So a little bit less enjoyable than what you had going on, but hey, that's life, right?
It made me feel even worse whenever you were texting, because I'm like, man, you got to deal with that, and I'm off like on a beach somewhere. So
We were looking at two different types of water. Let's just say I prefer the one you were sitting
a
from.
little bit different, yes. But we are back, like you say, we're back together again, recording Tuesday night hangout. Lots of cool giveaways, by the way. So for people that are wondering or curious, so many things to give away on this stream. Also, probably a few to tease. So this, everyone's seen this by now a million times because I put it in a lot of videos. Nolan Smith, signed jersey. Got this to give away later in the show. Also, the Saquon Barkley helmet that we got. Actually, this is the Philly Dogs one. I grabbed the wrong helmet. But I've got the Philly Dogs one and the Saquon. So we'll give away the Saquon helmet. Do that here later in the show. Drop a like if you haven't already. Info to get into. Other Eagles news. Not as much because, we're into the dog days of summer and there's not too much news. But a little bit. A little bit of news, a little speculation. Recapping some OTAs. Everything there. Eagle 1, Anthony needs to join the Zoom. Yeah, hey, that'd be good, actually. I think I've sent that Zoom link before. Maybe the only difficulty is schedules. It's usually... Why am I drawing a blank now? It's 7:30 Eastern. Well, that's not terrible. I think it's 7:30 Eastern, last Friday of the month. So, yeah, maybe next time. There we go. So, yes, we can make that happen. Okay, so let me just do this. Because we were running late. I was running late. I shouldn't loop you in on that. If I can figure this out. Here we go. Let's give away a couple memberships.
Hey.
Just because I was behind. Markelly Green got one. Super Fluential. Who's that? Eagle Nation. KGK and Kyle. You guys got memberships. Congratulations. There you go. Starting out with a bang. Not the only one, not the last of the stream here. Like I say, other giveaways, other things to get into. JC Kirk starting it out with a 5-bomb. Appreciate that, JC. 2 words. Go Birds. Go Birds, baby. Like it. Afraid I'll take a membership. Unfortunately, it's all randomized. I can't give those out specifically to people, just like the giveaway for the merch. I try to keep it above board, honest, fair as much as we can, even though people will claim that the spinner is rigged and they'll never win. It's just the way that we do it here. But like I say, other things to come. I feel like we could start really wherever. The Eagles are off for all intents and purposes. Now guys are going to get workouts in, things like that. But OTAs wrapped up last week, right? Weeks are all flying together. 2 weeks ago, last week. Yeah, it was last week. Yeah.
Yes.
Days are flying,
I believe. All right.
Running together. It's one of these days. It's been a few days. It's been a week, however long it's been. But they had their last one. I think it has been a week. Their last mandatory, one and only, but the only mandatory OTA. And so break until July 22nd is the start of training camp. I believe the first practice is not till the 23rd. And then we'll start seeing a lot of different instances of, players trying to battle out positions and everything else, and the pads can start coming on eventually as well. So a lot to look forward to, but be that as it may, the Eagles may be taking the rest of the, next month or so off, but Howie Roseman, as we know, does not. There's not really a single day off for Howie Roseman. There's been lots of speculations There's been a decent amount of clickbait everywhere that I've seen. Understandable, because what do you talk about these days? There's been a lot of hate and criticism. You could take every area that you want to go in this thing, but say what we will. You wrote a very good article. I will have a link in the description for people watching this back. Forgive me, I did not include the link. I've got link to the website, but I don't have the link officially to the article. But the Philly Special Show writer extraordinaire, Anthony DiBona, wrote an article about potential for guys that maybe Howie Roseman should consider, and specifically, we can go all over the place, but specifically for linebacker, we'll get to the super chats, I'll see those as well, but maybe walk some people through just the thoughts, their reasons for particular positions and players.
So I know Zach Bond, they were able to bring back. I literally start the article off by saying how he was kind of they struck gold by finding how he transitions to inside linebacker. Luckily, they were able to sign him to an extension, so that situation is great there. But beyond that, obviously Nakobe Dean and Jihaad Campbell are both recovering, coming off surgeries, and I know it was promising that last day of OTAs where Campbell had his helmet on and he was going through some drills but still not participating with the team. And then Vic Fangio said, hey, he might be on the field sometime in August. And then Nick Sirianni was like, oh, I don't want to put a timetable. But, Nick Sirianni always kind of plays things close to the vest, so he's not going to want to give anything away. But
it's competitive
regardless,
advantage, even though we're in, early
even in
June.
But Nick Sirianni doesn't want to give anything away.
Competitive advantage.
So, but if you look beyond that, Jeremiah Trotter played 111 defensive snaps last season, mostly in garbage time or that Week 18 game, if you want to consider that garbage time or not, because it was relatively meaningless. But outside of that, he didn't really play any serious football outside of that one game against the Cowboys that Nakobe Dean missed. So then you have guys like Dallas Gant and then obviously Smael Mondon Jr., Lance Dixon. So there's not a lot of experience behind Zach Bond. And Zach Bond himself said he's new to the position. He's still learning, even though he was an All-Pro, which is kind of crazy to say, but he really doesn't have much experience at inside linebacker. So I wrote an article throwing 3 names out there, and one of them, I don't want to give them all away because it's like hopefully somebody will actually go to the website and read the article, but one is a name that a lot of Eagles fans are familiar with, and that's Kyzir White, who was with the team obviously in 2022 when they made that Super Bowl run. Unfortunately, they lost, but he started quite a few games for the Eagles, showcased his skills. He followed Jonathan Gannon to Arizona. Last season, he had one of the best seasons of his career, where he had 137 total tackles, started all 17 games for the Cardinals, had 2.5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, and an interception. He's only 29 years old, New Jersey native, which was well documented when he was with the Eagles. So I just think if they do want to add another player in that linebacker room while they wait for Nakobe Dean and Jihaad Campbell to kind of catch up to speed, I think a guy like Kyzir White would make a ton of sense for them.
I wouldn't hate it. I really would. Now there's a counter argument too, because I'm like, yeah, but it's like every single position that you could almost throw out there of how he's had going all the way back to Nolan Smith before Nolan Smith got those reps of like, well, we need to see those guys get snaps because we don't know what they're going to be unless they are actually out there and playing. So sure, you could certainly make the case for Jeremiah Trotter Jr. If you bring in a Kyzir White, sure, it's more competition. Does he end up winning out? Are you able to get to see what Jeremiah Trotter Jr. brings? Does it hinder any development or some of his experience that he might get there? That's the counter argument to it. But like you mentioned, he played really well. If there's an area wherever, regardless if it's linebacker or you just name any position, corner, safety, edge, that they could make the team a little bit better, I don't think that Howie's going to, it's not going to be the end-all, be-all, we should say. That's not just going to be, oh, well, we kind of need to see this guy play out, especially if Vic Fangio's going and looking at it saying, yeah, we probably need somebody else. Like there's not going to be the answer there. So ultimately, when everybody's healthy, it could be a fantastic problem to have because you're like, well, yeah, we got a guy that we drafted in Jihaad Campbell that we're excited about. Obviously, Nakobe Dean, if and when he's able to get back out on the field and be 100%, probably, slow play it as you would for a particular injury that he suffered like that. But I wouldn't mind it depending on, hey, what we're paying, what type of deal. It does make some sense. And there are a couple other names that you brought up as well. So for people curious on those, go to thephillyspecialshow.com. Little plug there. Or like I mentioned, people watching this thing back that's not live, the link will be in the description. So go check out that article. Anthony's been cranking out content regardless, even in the dog days of summer. I have all sorts of articles coming out, even if the Eagles. Look, guys, I know I took a vacation, so it's kind of like take it with a grain of salt. But even if the Eagles have the next month off, we've got content planned, some entertainment, excitement, posting some questions, articles, the recording, videos, everything else back on regular schedule. So try to keep it fun. We've almost made it, kind of.
It's gonna feel like the longest month and a half or whatever it is ever, but I'm gonna try my best. I mean, since we started the website, which is less than a month ago, I think I've wrote 13 or 14 articles now, which is probably more than a lot of other like full-time Eagles beat writers are writing at this point, because like you mentioned, there isn't just much to cover. But I skipped the mailbag this past weekend because obviously Father's Day, had to spend some time with the family and the kids, so that kind of took priority. But that'll be starting up next Monday once again, so that'll be a weekly occurrence. And then I'll obviously have other things out there as far as position battles and potential free agents, potential trades, sorting through the depth chart as the kind of training camp gets a little bit closer, trying to see where they are at each position, how things stand at each position. So there's still a lot to talk about, even though, like you said, it's kind of the dog days of the summer where it's going to be mostly quiet. But who knows, maybe the Eagles will make a trade or a signing that'll kind of spice things up a little bit.
I would not be opposed to that, especially because there's not a whole lot. But be that as it may, we'll say that the goal is to try to not, go overboard, because I've seen some others that's like, oh, well, there's speculation for guys, and not that it's okay for speculation of players, but to not just go to the extreme of like, oh, the Eagles are signing so and so when it's clearly not. If there's actual legit news, then hey, you know what? We'll go ahead and talk about it, report it, put them in a thumbnail, move on. But otherwise, it's like, yeah, we got other things that we could talk about. Kind of a deep dive into. You've done some film studies on players as well, so those are pretty cool. I think people have appreciated those. But it is what it is. That's where we've gotten to, at least up to this point. So, I will say, as we've got some other super chats, let me get to John M with the 5 Philly Special Show memberships. John, appreciate that. Several people getting in on the action there. And then also Eagle 1, Matt, with a 10 Philly Special Show memberships. We got up to 15 now. JC with another 10 bomb of the super chat while we're discussing that says, let's make it a 10er. Where you at, chat? Say it back. Go Birds. Go Birds, baby. Do I have... Hang on. I could maybe play that. I might not. I might not have this. Hang on. Maybe I do.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I think I do. Hang on. I could do this. Let's make sure it's not going to burst people's eardrums. We could play this in the background. You can hear that, right?
I could hear it.
There we go. It's the off season, but it's never too early to play the song. I could play that for the 10. I mean, the 10 super chat. That's Go Birds, baby. Play the song.
Want another draft situation where you broke everybody's eardrums at that time. So.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Was it the draft or was it a live stream of the game? I remember that.
What was it actually? I can't remember. I think it was. Maybe it was a game, but it was switching the mic, and I think there's some people that still cannot hear at this moment. So apologies if you're one of those that's having to listen to watch this with subtitles because you can't hear us. That was not my intention. Grady, welcome to the Let's Run It membership tier. Let's go. Appreciate that. Also, I was trying to find this real quick for people to see, and I'm going to struggle on this now, I bet. Nope. Wait, I think I found it. Hang on. Because John just sent the super chat, and I did want to send this, or I wanted to show this. So John M with the super chat, and then also another 10 Philly Special Show members. So 15 from John, one of the loyal followers, members, subscribers, and everything else. Let me make sure I can actually. Here we go. And well, I'm losing you again.
Me?
This is the off-season. It's just kind of the lax recording. So apologies. There we go. No, I've got you. I just couldn't see it because I had to switch to a different screen. Okay, so that is a helmet that John made with a 3D printer.
Wow.
And I couldn't get over how incredibly impressive that is. For the 3D printing has always blown my mind. He sent over a couple of those trophies, which are pretty legit, like the Lombardi, replicas. That might be the best thing that I've seen from a 3D printer so far.
That's impressive stuff right there.
I didn't ask how long it took. We'll probably get the answer here in a second in the chat. But that's crazy. The detail of that, I don't know. I just had to share that again because John sent the super chats, the memberships, and everything else. Pretty legit, not gonna lie. Okay, and he said I changed the grill to white for that one. 16 hours. Good
Sheesh.
Gosh.
That's about how long it takes for you to edit the video, right?
Yeah, just about.
All those quotes.
We've gotten a little faster. John skipped dinner to give out the memberships. You're the real one, John. You're the man. Appreciate you, brother, and the 16 hours dedication of the 3D printer at work.
It's
That's legit,
unbelievable.
though. People are commenting though about the eardrums. So again, that was certainly something that
People are scarred.
they're scarred. Yes, I knew that was going to happen
Oh,
as soon as it took place. Apologies. Hopefully never again. Jamarcus with a 5. Appreciate that. Said, would it be a hot take to say that Holland Pierce has the potential to be the best lineman of this rookie class if he stays with Philly in the future?
I don't think that's too crazy because, I mean, if you just look at, like, if you just take everybody's, like, where they went to school and things like that, just like the raw potential of each player. I mean, he has everything that you would look for, like, from a size and length standpoint, right? Just like freakishly long arms. He has the size that kind of replicates what Jordan Mailata brought, and Mekhi Becton too. And now you see them playing him at guard, where a lot of people thought he was going to be only a tackle kind of prospect. But I think maybe the whole Mekhi Becton project working out well for Jeff Stoughton last year kind of shifted his view of the guard position from a total standpoint. Because before, I mean, he liked bigger guards to begin with, but now he's going with these mammoth of human beings, where Holland Pierce he's a big guy. And it's just like, usually, and a lot of defensive linemen said it from the Eagles last year, where they're like, we weren't used to a guard having the long arms that Mekhi Becton has. And now Holland Pierce obviously brings that same length or even longer arms to the table. So I like, these guys are all kind of in that same group. I know three of them were drafted and he wasn't, but you have to look at them all the same because they're all starting from square one in Philadelphia. And I don't think any of them are necessarily, outside of Drew Kendall, I don't think any of them are guaranteed a final roster spot because of where they were drafted and just the competition and depth in that room. So I would not be surprised at all if you tell me 2-3 years from now that Holland Pierce was better than Cameron Williams and other guys like that. So I don't think it's like an outlandish thing to say at all.
Yeah, if you're dubbed, like you say, whether they're drafted or undrafted free agent or just brought in, however they happen to come to Philly, if it's enough for Jeff Stoutland to be like, yeah, let's take another look at this guy. Let's have him here. Then that kind of says it all. There's the potential there. If it's talent, raw talent, whatever he sees, we've seen more than enough of turning them into, whatever you want, honestly. Tackle, guard, move them all over the place. Crazy athleticism. Not quite like Lane Johnson, though. He's been getting some worthy praise, which is very much warranted
About time,
at
right?
35 years old. And, I mean, I can't imagine peaking at 35 years old, but that's kind of what he's saying, and that's a scary
the
thought
LeBron
for
James
people,
of offensive tackles. It's like,
I mean, he might be. The fact that, like, what he does. Oh, and also going back to Holland Pierce and the other rookies they brought in, I did like the fact that Lane had mentioned that too, of saying like, it's a little bit different now. Like, we're bringing in these just Goliath monster type players where I'm kind of feeling a little bit small sometimes, like
yep.
It's not just one guy. It's like, oh, okay, we got 3 of these or 4 of these, you're like, who are these guys brought in? But even with that being the case, Lane is the ageless wonder, apparently just continuing to get better at 35 years old. And, a little bit of extra motivation. I love that he brought up or I guess the question was re-asked to him, but you knew that it was already on his mind. But the Penny Sewell and losing out on the first team All-Pro last season when he puts up the stats of the locker and all the other stuff there. So, yeah, a little bit of extra motivation for that one. I'll say there's a lot of back and forth of what we've heard, whether it's Amon-Ra St. Brown talking or Lane Johnson and the Penny Sewell. Like, that Detroit game, it was already, I think, going to be pretty good, but there's some extra storylines and bulletin board material. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that one's going to be, I think there was a reason that was the game I was trying to get tickets to, when like the face value tickets, there was the queue on Ticketmaster. I was like waiting in that one, it was not happening. All the tickets were gone. It was just too much. So I had to pivot to another game, but it's just, that matchup's going to be great. And I feel like that was the one NFC, like, elite team in the NFC, if you want to say, that they didn't face last season. So it's kind of been a couple years, and obviously the Lions are viewed in that same tier as the Eagles now, where they're the Super Bowl contender in the NFC. But it's just crazy that it took this long for Lane Johnson to finally kind of get the recognition that he deserves. And he's still not totally getting the credit that he deserves. I feel like you see it from like Football Outsiders or PFF, where they're finally kind of praising him, saying he's the best tackle in the NFL, or at least top 5. And definitely the number one right tackle, because before it felt like, oh, he's a right tackle, so he didn't belong in the same category as these left tackles. Whereas now he's finally being viewed the same, where now teams will put their best edge rusher on either side. It doesn't matter which arm the quarterback is throwing with or things like that. They're just trying to kind of put their players in the best position, and Lane Johnson's just shutting everybody down. So it took long enough, but like he said, the physical condition that he's in, I mean, you see him when he's working out in the offseason. He's not some fat slob. I mean, most offensive tackles aren't these days anyway, because you see more and more of them where they've ripped and they have six packs, and it's just like back in the day they were just kind of not sloppy, but they weren't ripped and as like built as they are now. And now it's just a whole different type of athlete. And Lane Johnson, I mean, as long as he avoids any kind of catastrophic injury, it doesn't seem like he's slowing down at all as far as his play on the field.
Which is incredible news for so many different reasons. But you know, just loving the fact that he went through the ankle injury, the surgery, what was it, 2 years ago? I think the one-on-one or the talk that he had with Jeff McClain, that kind of was the podcast or whatnot, talking about just his mental health struggles, and he's been very open about that, sharing, trying to help others with that. But just talking like close to potentially saying, hey, maybe I'm done. Like maybe I just don't even want to do this anymore. So to see that reverse and that change of him obviously being healthy, but you could just see the enjoyment of being on this team, the group of guys that he's around. And that's even with, hey, look, hey, Jason Kelce gone 2 years ago. Brandon Graham now going to be gone. Fletcher Cox, same deal with whenever Kelce. But the old guard kind of moving on. Lane's that last remaining pillar, so to speak. And for a while, it was like, oh, maybe he's only going to be for one. But the way that he's talking, you're like, well, I don't know. Maybe you're keep him around for another 3-4 years. Get another contract extension. Heck, he could play another 4 or 5 years.
It's crazy. I mean, you see other offensive tackles. Look at Jason Peters. I mean, he wasn't the same player, but he kind of played until he really couldn't anymore. He was 41, 42 years old, wherever he made a little bit move into guard and played some tackle. Like, I mean, there's no, like I said, Lane Johnson hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. And it's just, going into last year, there was a lot of concern about like, hey, Jason Kelce retired, Fletcher Cox retired. Is there going to be, especially after the way the season ended, like, is there going to be some type of fallout in the locker room? Like, are these guys going to be able to stay together off the field? How's the chemistry going to be? And like you said, Lane Johnson has kind of been the pillar in that locker room, where he's kind of grouped both eras, where he's kind of like the old guard and the new guard, kind of bringing them both together. It seems like the offensive line room is all about helping each other while also competing against each other at the same time. Like we heard what Jordan Mailata said about the rookies and how he's excited to add them, but he's also excited for them to push him and kind of make him better. And so it's just an exciting time in Philadelphia, and it seems like everything's kind of heading in the right direction, where most people would be worried about kind of a Super Bowl hangover or a little bit of a drop off, but these guys are still hungry, still saying all the right things. Even Lane Johnson, a guy that's literally done everything that you could. He could retire right now and he'll be a Hall of Famer, but he's still talking about playing several more years.
I'm glad you brought that up too, because I was it reminded me whenever the trip to the Novacare complex and getting to meet the other Philly dogs, and Nolan Smith was one of those, obviously for people that have watched the videos or seen anything that I've shared publicly. But Nolan was talking about that too. Jeff Stoutland came walking in, and he even said, he's like, that's my guy right there. Like that's who I spent a lot of time with. And I love it because it shows, Nolan's talked about, and vice versa, Lane has also mentioned it, but how many times the defensive linemen get tips and tricks and one-on-ones and everything else from Lane Johnson, from Jordan Mailata. Like, there's a reason why there's, some outliers of this not being the case, but there's a reason why you look at the guys who are willing to put in the work and willing to put in the effort, and you have some skills that you see can be transferable, and then they live up to that hype and expectation, and they continue to progress from there. Because, like, if you're able to survive, Jalyx Hunt said this, like a month ago now in his press conference, but he's like, I had to figure something out. Like, go one-on-one against Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, day in and day out. You have to figure something out, because it's going to be a living hell every single practice, every single day of training camp. And so I think that there's like we recognize it, but sometimes we don't, unless you hear those tactics or those insights for the meetings that they have. But Lane is a wealth of knowledge. He has the O-Line's Masterminds Summit that he does every single year, hosts that usually in Frisco. And I think it's coming up in like 2 or 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, early July. But he does that every single year. That's for the offensive linemen. Now, he's not going to give tips and secrets to, every single defensive lineman. But for our own, heck yeah, he will. And so we've seen that translate. And the same thing with Jeff Stoutland. I just loved hearing the fact that you got Nolan Smith, Jalyx Hunt, Jordan Davis, and others, I would presume, that are literally meeting with Jeff Stoutland to get his tips on what he's teaching offensive linemen and what they should look for as defensive linemen for how they would counter that. So, you can't learn enough, I guess, about your enemy and their tactics, but I think it's just like the next level chess moves that Vic Fangio is coaching. It's trickling down to players that, let's be honest, just love football, have crazy football IQ, but are fanatics about it. And so they go about it in a different way of attacking the mindset of like, how do I get better? Whatever it takes. And it starts, like you say, with the leaders in that locker room, Lane Johnson, the pillar from old guard to new guard, staying with this group. And it's a great thing to see. Like I said, the peak of Lane Johnson, Saquon in his prime, Zach Bond saying the defense is miles ahead of where it was last year. Like, I don't want to get overboard. I don't want to go overboard here because I know people are like, hang on, let's not dub them as the Super Bowl, repeat or anything like that. I totally get it. But it's just the right mindset. We can at least call it that. They have the right mindset going into it. They have the right approach, and they have a decent amount of the right guys, whether we want to debate on, say, there's a couple positions that they maybe could shore up.
Yeah, I mean, the roster from a talent standpoint seems great. And I feel like that was the thing going from 2022 to 2023, where the biggest thing that's not a problem this time around is they lost a bunch of their key members of their coaching staff. And now this time, coming off a Super Bowl win, they lost Kellen Moore. They lost a couple lower level assistants, but they still have Christian Parker, Vic Fangio, Bobby King, all these guys that couldn't hurt. Obviously Jeff Stoutland, Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo was promoted. They kind of kept the whole coaching staff and then replaced them with Scott Loeffler and other people as well, where they kind of have that almost their entire coaching staff returning next season. So that's going to be key too, because not only did your roster not change too much, where a lot of positions that they did lose players, they already had in-house replacements for. But now your coaching staff has kind of stayed the same as well. So you have that consistent messaging and teaching going into 2025, 2026. So they're in a really good position. It's not like where they lost both of their coordinators and they lost a couple of starters and things like that. They're in a really good spot, and they obviously added talent both in the draft and in free agency that's going to shine through as well.
Lots of positions, lots of competition, guys battling it out, trying to make a name for themselves, win the starter jobs, everything else there. Could have some additions. We talked about it a second ago with Howie. Before I get to that, though, really quickly, let me get to a couple of these super chats, or I guess it plays into it here. JC Kirk earlier, another 5. Appreciate that, man. Got several of these from JC. Thoughts on potentially another father-like son move to Philly in Asante Samuel Jr.?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of screamed like an Eagles move from the second he was going to hit free agency, because it just felt like a former relatively high draft pick that's battled injuries, shown promise at times, but just couldn't stay healthy. Now he's hitting the open market, obviously coming off an injury where there were the reports that in a couple weeks or so he'll be ready to sign ahead of training camp once he's fully healthy. And that's kind of Howie Roseman's MO, right? It's he sees these guys that kind of, I don't want to say failed elsewhere, because he had some good moments, but didn't necessarily hit the potential or become what people thought he was going to be coming out of college. And the Eagles are looking over there hey, we got Christian Parker in our building. We got Vic Fangio. Just give him a chance on a 1-year deal. And he sure as hell saw what other guys did in Philadelphia after signing for 1-year deals and kind of flipped their whole perspective and how they were viewed around the NFL. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of sold, especially if they're not happy with maybe what they saw from Kelee Ringo or Adoree Jackson during OTAs. They could say, hey, Asante, your father played here. He had a hell of a tenure here. Why not just come here sign for 1 year with incentive, an incentive heavy deal, or if they have plenty of money, if they do want to give him a competitive offer with everybody else, but just the opportunity in Philadelphia could be so much you're on such a bigger stage than if you sign with a team like the Panthers or wherever else it might be. I just think it'll be a good fit both for him personally and obviously for the Eagles too, because we just add more experience to their cornerback room in case Kelee Ringo doesn't pan out or in case Adoree Jackson isn't the best vet to have there as well. So it would make sense to me.
You had to throw the Panthers under the bus there with that shot. Chuba Hubbard, I think, said that they're going to win the Super Bowl. Or their goal is to win the Super Bowl, which I don't know what it was before, but I mean, hey, that's I guess in the right direction.
I mean, that they did push they should have won that game against the Eagles, if we're being honest. So yeah. I just more so meant a low level team,
right? No,
doesn't get the national attention. I actually think the Panthers are going to surprise some people. I don't think they're going to make a playoff push or anything like that. But in that division, I wouldn't be surprised if they were second place in that division or something like that. Wouldn't be too crazy.
Yeah.
To me. But
I
actually like Bryce Young, but
taking another move.
it's just not the same thing.
Right. Yes. Yeah. But I just had to joke at that, of course, because it's like, oh, good. So now the goal is before it was not apparently. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't follow the Panthers camp closely enough, but they did almost beat us. Xavier Legette. I mean, like, I'm sorry, you make a catch, ball game. That would have been over. Whew, how things could have changed that. Like it was already people concerned, but that might have been a little different. Nonetheless, it did not. So it didn't matter. I will say though, with the moves, like it does make a whole lot of sense. I'm totally with you. For Asante Samuel Jr., we talked about this, as you mentioned, a long time ago. I mean, there's a video. I'd have to go back and look, but it was like as soon as free agencies open up, not long after winning the Super Bowl, like, hey, what's the next move? And you threw that idea out there way back then of saying like, yeah, keep an eye out for this. And as time's gone on, I've been asked about this a couple times. Maybe we've brought this up on a few streams as well, but I was like, I could potentially see it, but the longer the time goes on, obviously, you're like, well, maybe that means that they are confident in Kelee Ringo or in Adoree Jackson or combination. They don't want to bring it in, but they are still playing the waiting game. So that is the facet of the other side of like, yeah, he had surgery, the neck or the shoulder, make sure that that's 100%. If he's cleared, then you never know. And with the thought of like, yeah, he wants to play for a contender, it's not a bad selling point to say, hey, Asante, we're not saying that you are going to be used as little as Isaiah Rodgers was, but like Isaiah Rodgers played really well when he played, but he didn't get a ton of snaps, right? Because he was behind Quinyon Mitchell and Darius Slay. So there's a few games that he was inserted in during the middle of the game, or maybe like one start or so, but not a ton of those. But he still signed a pretty solid deal to go to Minnesota. So, if you could say, well, you come here, you get an opportunity to win the starting job. If you believe that you can, great. You get even more snaps. If not, there's still a good opportunity that you're going to play some, and you make an impact, you make a difference. You get to play with this defense, with Vic Fangio, Christian Parker, all the other things that you mentioned there. It's not the worst thing to kind of re-jumpstart that career and go get your next big contract. So, yeah, I could come around on that idea. I don't mind that. Another secondary player.
And even going back to, I know it's a couple of years ago, but James Bradbury's situation where he was kind of cut later in the offseason and then kind of rebuilt his value, signed a one-year deal with the Eagles, rebuilt his value. He ended up obviously signing an extension with the Eagles. Granted, it didn't work out, but Asante Samuel was significantly younger at this point, more so just an injury issue at this point, considering that. And I mean, he does get criticized for like his missed tackles, things like that. People aren't sure if he's definitely a full-time outside corner, if he should be more in the slot, but he has some return upside. So there's potential there. I feel like if the Eagles were able to bring him in, depending on the opportunity that he's looking for, obviously if he wants to just be a definite starter on the outside, this might not be the place for him. But if he's willing to kind of compete for a job and maybe even be a backup to start the year as they see what they have, then maybe it happens. But we've seen kind of in what's like 3 years in a row now where 2022, they were just kind of working through their safety situation, and they traded for C.J. Gardner-Johnson late in the offseason, late in training camp. Then they obviously went into the offseason into the season the following year, eventually traded for Kevin Byard. There are different takes about how he performed in Philadelphia, but they did make a move there. And then obviously last year with the wide receiver situation, the same thing. They waited until basically right before the regular season and added Jihaad and Dotson. So it's not kind of foreign either to see the Eagles kind of work through these competitions, see all of their options, and if they're not happy, Howie Roseman definitely has a list of players or trades or free agents that he's going to kind of look at if he's not happy with what he sees or if the coaching staff's not happy. So Asante Samuel is definitely a player to keep an eye on.
I like it. To put you on the spot here a little bit, too, with the Asante Samuel, continuing on with this, and we get to a couple of these others super chats here in 1 second. But so there's been, Justin Simmons just keeps getting thrown out there, and I know that I've seen some people go, "Hey, here's an update on Justin Simmons." It is, but it isn't. Like people, it's in the dog days of summers, like we said. There's there's not a lot of news, so people will just be like, "Well, Justin Simmons is, that there's another team at play for him." It's like, well, okay, sure, yeah, they are, because he's unsigned. Like I could just go out there and be like, "Yeah, there's another team." Okay, cool. Like Philly, as we've said, nothing has changed. Philly could sign him today. Based on what he said, he is just asking, begging, pleading Howie Roseman to give him a call, waiting by the phone. The moment that he were to get that, it's like you could all just assume he's going to accept that offer. So nothing has happened yet, but I know that's one of the potentials out there, so I'll throw out Justin Simmons, Jair Alexander. That's been a continued one brought up. He's got a relationship with Christian Parker. I don't know to how strong. Some people say it's a good relationship. I don't know what that means. Nobody's backed it up with proof of like how good of a relationship, but good relationship for what that's worth. Trey Hendrickson, Jalen Ramsey, these other big name targets, right? So, because that's the fun thing to do, just link to Philly. But out of those, including Asante Samuel, would you say that there's one that kind of stands out, or at least maybe the favorite out of those that you would go with if you had to choose out of those names that I just gave you, more realistic that Howie potentially brings in for the Eagles?
I think it just has to be Justin Simmons, in my opinion. That might be a surprise. It might not be a surprise, but it just makes. I mean, but I feel like we said this last year. It just makes too much sense to not happen. I mean, last year they had C.J. Gardner-Johnson, so that kind of changed things. You had a little bit more like certainty at safety. But this year, it just seems like they have Reed Blankenship, who's obviously a great starter. He's solidified, but he's going into a contract year. Drew Nakobe and Sidney Brown are kind of battling for that second spot. And then behind that, I mean, it seemed like they're trying to sell the idea of guys like Andre Sam and Trishan McCollum and Louis Seen and Maxon Hook, like these other guys that are kind of battling for spots. But you compare those guys to Justin Simmons, and it's not even close as far as like a resume perspective. I mean, granted, Simmons is obviously older. His best days are behind him. But if you're just looking to have somebody with experience in the secondary, Simmons just makes the most sense. And like you said, he's basically been begging for the last, since free agency opened, basically, like publicly on the Kay Adams show and all these other like things where he's just like just talking up his relationship with Vic Fangio and Christian Parker and how well he thinks he would fit in Philadelphia. And he's dropping Reed Blankenship thing. Like he's been studying the Eagles roster. Like it seems like he really wants to be in Philadelphia. Like you said, it's only just a matter of the Eagles throwing that contract out there and saying, hey, look, you want to sign this? So I wrote it a million times. I tweeted it a million times. It's just a matter of Simmons kind of lowering his expectations as far as like a financial standpoint, because he got what is it, $8 million, I believe, fully guaranteed last season, like in late August from the Falcons, and played the year out on that deal. But I don't think he's going to be getting that type of money if that's what he's looking for. So if he's willing to kind of lower his number a little bit, and the Eagles aren't crazy about what they see from Sidney Brown and Drew McCouber or anybody else, I feel like bringing in Justin Simmons is it's a no-brainer at that point.
That makes sense. I've got to. I'll save it because it's probably for the video tomorrow, so people can just stay a look. But there's a pretty good joke and movie clip that goes along with Justin Simmons and waiting for the Eagles. So just stay tuned for people that are curious on that. Let's see. I got a couple other super chats here. Like I said, Frankie Ray with a 10. Appreciate that one. Says Blankenship and McLaurin have the same agent. Interesting. Okay. The agent told McLaurin to hold out until he gets a new contract. Do you think he'll say the same thing to Blankenship if it isn't done before camp?
I've got to be a little careful with speaking about Reed Blankenship's contract situation.
I wasn't going to say anything necessarily for sure because I know that.
So yeah, that's.
Is there okay? I was gonna say, is there anything that you could say, and you can totally play? Is there anything at all? I mean, and
no,
if not,
I can't really.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I don't think there's anything coming. I could just say that, but it's just like that's.
Right.
I really can't speak too much on it because I do have some relationships there, so I don't want to go too crazy.
Fair, totally fair. Okay, Frank. It's an interesting thought though that Frankie throws out, so that we'll leave it at that because I was gonna let you lead on that one if there was anywhere to go. This is the I'll just say this. This is the beauty of the Ant-Man himself, because he's the insider. He's got some sources, got some relationships, and understandably so. Don't want to ruin those. So if you get some inside information or other details, can't quite share what may or may not be going on. So yes, but
I know it's easy to do that, especially at this time of the year, right? You can just throw something out there and say, "Oh, I know this." Like that's just not the best way to kind of approach things. It's kind of building trust in the long term. So yeah.
Yep. Especially whenever important people have said certain things. I know it's very, very coded, but we'll just leave it. Like I said, leave it that. Very interesting thought. Reed Blankenship's a great guy. Hope that he's here in Philly for a long time. Exciting Mike's podcast is great. I don't know. I'm just dancing around it to say something about Reed Blankenship because I can't really be on that. But yeah, Frankie, appreciate the 10. Hopefully we see soon enough. Ross with the 5. Happy belated Father's Day to you both. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you very much.
Happy belated Father's
Day To any
you,
fathers out there.
yeah, or to any fathers. It was a great day, very very good day. I'll say that. Good time spending with family. Hopefully, everybody else could say the same. But I don't know. It's just the older that the girls get, enjoying every second they get. Time flies. I'll just say that. Like, I mean, everybody knows. It's just like, I feel like it's like you have kids, time already flies, but then you have kids and it's like 3 times as fast. It's like, where does the time go? Maybe it's the fact that, it's like you're scrambling and trying to do everything else and take care of the kids, the family, and all that. But it's like, golly. So there are moments, and I feel like it's holidays or things like Father's Day, where you briefly try to kind of slow down, try to reflect, and then you look back on memories and moments, and then it hits you. You're like, wow, this is crazy, but very blessed.
I sent you a picture on Monday. My daughter, she had her stepping up from pre-K to kindergarten, so like a little graduation kind of thing. And there was one song that they go on stage. They're only 4 or 5 years old, so she's like singing a song saying how she's got a little bit taller, her shoes are a little bit tighter, and I'm an emotional mess when it comes to my kids or even the Eagles. I cried after the first Super Bowl, but like I lost it. My wife's sitting right next to me. My parents are over here. My wife's mother's there. Like they're all fine, and I'm over there asking for tissues because I'm just bawling. So yeah, you got to cherish every second. I feel like I've told you this a million times, but for everybody else, you got to cherish every moment because it feels like just yesterday my kids were born, and now they're turning 5 and 3 next month each. So time flies, man.
That's great. I love it. I love the emotion and everything. I get similar on quite a bit of things. So, and it surprised me too. I mean, even just being a dad and, like I say, reflecting it, they say things, they do things. You have the moments and memories like you're talking about, and yeah, you're like, man, it's good, but an incredible blessing. So for anybody,
Yes.
all fathers, hopefully you had a fantastic day. Watched a little bit of the U.S. Open as well. People know that golf fans, so that was kind of a wild finish. But Eagle won here. Remember, for 19 months, they want they want play for us. So they want to play for us so they can get bags somewhere else in terms of free agents playing for Philly. I mean, it's 1,000% true. If you, again, we say like, okay, come to the Eagles. You've seen what other guys have been able to do. Parlay that into a new contract. I mean, my gosh, if you want to look at Milton Williams, and not that he was coming to the Eagles as a free agent, but like he got paid crazy. If you play next to Jalen Carter, we've said this a number of times, no offense to Milton Williams, but you play next to Jalen Carter, you could look really, really good. And I mean, this season of all seasons, like how many primetime games, really good matchups, you're going to get tons of views. You're assuming that they're making the playoffs. You're assuming that they're making a deep run in the playoffs. So if you want to get noticed and you have a chance to make an impact,
Your audio cut out on my end. I don't know if you're good or not.
Can you hear me?
Now you're good.
Hear me
But
now?
for that last little bit, I don't know if it cut out on the stream or not.
Oh, okay.
You can hear me?
I can hear you now. It froze up for me too now.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I can. Okay, now I can see. All right.
Yeah, I think it cut out for the stream too.
Okay. Can people? Oh yeah, people are now saying no sound, no audio. Okay. Well, I think
You're
we're
good
good
now,
now.
so it probably came back. I heard you talking about Milton Williams though, and
okay, and then it cut out.
Then it cut out. Yeah. But I mean, just to piggyback off that, as far as
I was gonna say, I think I went Wi-Fi. I was trying to get Ethernet, so hopefully we're good.
You're good now.
My bars were low over there. Now they're okay.
Good now. I think we're good.
Yeah. Okay. People
Nothing
can
like the first stream back.
But
let's listen.
I don't know what
keep
happened.
rolling.
Heard some of it. So yes, Milton Williams.
So yeah, I mean, obviously Milton Williams is the biggest example because kind of went from a role player to just getting. Nobody would have thought that like Milton Williams would have got a 9-figure contract after heading into last season. So it's just the pay that he got was absurd. And then even Josh Sweat is a guy that kind of restructured his deal, kind of bet on himself, and it paid off with another huge deal. So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding of Eagles players kind of getting paid after heading into a contract year, and it's kind of a win-win for the Eagles too, because not only does the player get a big payday, but obviously the Eagles reap the rewards with compensatory picks that they're going to get for next year, especially. So they've kind of, I know they call it the quarterback factory in Philadelphia, but it's kind of been the everything factory with the way that they're flipping these players and turning in career years and turning that into big paydays in free agency.
Yep, 100%. As Milton and others have been able to take advantage of, and like I said, like I was trying to say, some people may have heard it or maybe not, but you get a lot of primetime games. Get noticed a lot more than if you're playing in Philly versus take a shot at the Panthers again, but some other team like that. So Franklin, thanks for the 5 here. Josh, some of your members expect people to know them and their personalities and criticize you for not knowing them. I think that was meant to be I'm done with lives. Well, I apologize for that. To each their own. You're welcome to hang out and you don't have to. That it's totally your prerogative. So, I mean, the regulars I'm used to. If you're new or you haven't hung out on the lives as often, I apologize. But would hang out enough and usually get to know the either sarcasm or personality or other people in the chat too. So, try to keep it respectable. If I can, I can put people in timeout. So I've done that in the past. It's more so for like game streams, but it is what it is. I appreciate the feedback nonetheless, but feel like I'll just say you guys are the best community out there. It's what I mentioned in the last one. The fact that it's been over 130,000 subscribers in just over 2 years is flat out ridiculous. So thank you again to everybody for making this what it is. Could not do it without you guys. Fanny with a 5 says, hey, Josh and Ant-Man, just turned 54 Saturday the 14th. Well, happy belated birthday. There you go. Says, what's the deal with Ricks? Don't hear any news about him. And how is Nolan healing? Blessings. Thank you.
Well, first, happy birthday. Happy belated birthday. Secondly, I actually had somebody tweet to me about Eli Ricks also, and I don't know if it's Eli Ricks Day or something like that, but there's just a lot of competition.
It's my birthday, bro. We share the same birthday, so.
Oh, sorry about that. But it's just there's a lot of competition. I feel like he hasn't really shown much over his 2 years in Philadelphia, so I just don't know if there's that same hype that was around him. Maybe his rookie year when he was like the guy that was supposed to be drafted but wasn't, and he played a little bit as the defense was kind of spiraling out of control and showing a little bit of promise, but he was a healthy scratch for a lot of games last year, and now they added more cornerbacks in Adoree Jackson and Mac McWilliams. I just don't know if there's room for him there. I think what they might be able to do, depending on how he performs in training camp and preseason, is you could see like a late in training camp or preseason kind of player for player trade where they were going to cut Eli Ricks and another team was going to cut another player at maybe a different position, and they kind of just swap players to get a look at them there. So maybe you see something like that, but I don't know what's going on there. And as far as Nolan Smith's recovery, that was the other question, right?
Yes. Yep.
It seems like if he needed to, he would play right now. I know he's talking about striking and things like that, but then Nick Sirianni was like, listen, Nolan Smith is always striking. Like it's not, so it doesn't seem like there's any real concern with him where there might be with guys like Nakobe Dean or Jihaad Campbell. So I think Nolan Smith will be just fine.
Yes, I can echo the same sentiment. Seeing him multiple times this offseason at his golf tournament at the Novacare complex. And he's got his football camp coming up, by the way. So for people that are looking to get in on that, July 13th, I believe. So you can go to nolansmithfoundation.org, donate to incredible cause, gives out backpacks, supplies, everything back to school to camp invites for people attending the camp there, and or you can just attend. So either way, you got options on that side. But shared that in a couple videos. Like I say, he's said every single time. I would talk to him, updates, press conferences, everything. No concern at all. The triceps injury, I mean, sure, like it's a little bit of a setback in terms of like, okay, he can't do certain workouts and has had to tone it down a little bit, but he's got, again, a little bit over a month now until training camp starts, and then you still have like a month and a half until the regular season starts. So he'll be good to go. There's no concern. Good news.
Just real quick, I see a bunch of people that have commented asking about where I got my hat. So I'm just
Oh,
gonna,
yes. There you
if
go.
anybody does want to get it, Reference Co is the brand. This is not a sponsored thing or an ad. Maybe if they want to ship Josh some
If
hats,
they would want
we could
to,
work on
that'd be
something.
great.
But I'm gonna send the link in the chat right now. So
Okay.
referencecolimited.com. I've bought a ton of hats from there. I think they're really good. But like I said, not an ad or sponsorship or anything like that. So
There you go. Let's see. And I think I've got somebody was asking for, where's that? I think the Nolan Smith camp, and seeing if somebody's got the link. And let me see if I can find that. If I can. Do I still have that? Yeah. Okay. Here's the Nolan Smith Pup Stay Out link. But this is the donations for it. And then if people are watching this back too, I'll put a link in the description as well. But there's also an email for that, which I will find and include. So just for people curious. Let's see. The 20 bomb from the Gaka. This defense will remain top 3, if not first. Jay Hurts will have the best season yet. Saquon will regress, but not because he's bad, but because defenses will look to solely stop him. AJ will have 1,600 plus. Smitty will have 1,200 plus. I'm all for it.
that sounds great to me. I actually wrote in a recent mailbag for the PhillySpecialShow.com that I think that Saquon Barkley might regress in terms of not that he's going to be any worse as far as his actual ability, but just I think the Eagles are going to take a little bit off of his plate and kind of lessen his workload a little bit, not a ton, but they don't necessarily have to give him close to 400 total touches or whatever it was that he had last season, especially given his injury history. I know he stayed healthy last season, thankfully, but now that they signed him to an extension, kind of rewarded him for what he did, I think they'll want to keep him kind of healthy and monitor his workload a little bit more. So I think maybe you'll see a little bit more Will Shipley or these other guys, maybe A.J. Dillon, and they'll work him in. But I think outside of that, and I also mentioned that I think they're going to see a lot more deep shots in the passing game. I don't think they're going to be this crazy vertical offense where they're just throwing down the field 30, 40 yards every play. But I think you'll see a lot more deep shots like the dagger in the Super Bowl where they're going to throw it up to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith at times and give them a little bit more opportunities than we have seen in previous years.
Yeah, I'm continue to say the similar things. It's like anytime you got a running back coming off of 2,000 plus yards, you knew that Philly wanted to run the football. And I still think, as crazy as it may sound, like Jalen Hurts playing really well in the Super Bowl, in the 2 Super Bowls that he's played in, incredibly well. But I still think that a lot of teams are going to go in and say, nope, like beat us, prove it. I want to see it. And, I understand, too, at the same time, take it with maybe a little bit of a grain of salt. Now, he did that at the highest stage, biggest stage, all kudos to him. But teams play different defenses, so we totally understand that. The Chiefs, he has had their number, so, there's an element to it of Steve Spagnuolo's defense that Jalen can just elevate his game to the extreme. And, we've seen struggles of Todd Bowles, vice versa. Like, he's had Jalen's number at multiple times. So, maybe depending on who the defense is and what scheme they're running. But even so, like, Jalen has proven that he's been able to adapt. He's been able to evolve. He's been able to continue to improve and elevate his game. So, but I'm with you. I think that defenses, if they're going to pick their poison, which they have to, with how much talent is on this Eagles team, they look at it and say, well, we'd much rather see if Jalen Hurts can beat us instead of go, yeah, you want to just sure, this offensive line with Saquon Barkley and everything. No, no thanks. Let's at least see if we could maybe slow down by forcing Jalen Hurts to beat us.
Yeah, and it feels like one other thing that they could start doing, which I feel like we begged for last season, but we still didn't see a ton, is kind of the quick passing game to the middle of the field or these in-breaking routes on slants to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, because those are routes especially where A.J. Brown has made a killing throughout his entire career, even when he was with Tennessee, but he hasn't had a ton of those opportunities in Philadelphia where he's had I feel like that could be a staple of your offense, especially if they're going to load the box and kind of do those looks that Tampa Bay does, where it's 7, 8 guys in the box, kind of just forcing you to throw it, and getting to these blitzes and getting these extra defenders sent towards Jalen Hurts. I feel like if you just ask AJ Brown to beat his man inside 1-on-1, he's going to win that basically 100% of the time. And then after that, it's up to that. If there is even a safety in the middle of the field, that he has to stop AJ Brown with a head full of steam. Like, that's a tough thing to ask. So I would like to see more of that as well. And Kevin Patul has already said how his philosophy is that, like, he doesn't really have a philosophy. It's just whatever the players can do best and putting them in the best situations, which is kind of a really boring answer. But at the same time, that's exactly what they need to do. Is they need to take advantage of these freakish wide receivers that can create these mismatches and use them to the best of their ability.
Yeah. AJ is a mismatch everywhere. He's always open, but best receiver since 2022, one-on-one. So if you get an opportunity, you want to throw it over the middle of the field, I would love to see that. So please continue to get the ball. Feed AJ. I love the AJ over 1,600. If you want to take because he was he was like 1,000. He was over 1,000, but like 1,060 or wherever it was, somewhere around there, yardage wise. And he still missed 4 games last season. So I could see a little bit more of a, I don't even know you call it a bounce back year, but just a bigger output than what we saw last season. Ross with a 10. Appreciate that, Ross. Tim Moore says, we have the best roster in the NFL already on both sides of the ball. Anything we add is just a bonus. Honestly, because we talk about maybe there's a whole, what about safety? Maybe you could get someone cornerback. Okay, we don't know about Kelee, Ringo. Some people don't, because there's some people are totally on board, but some people are not. We don't know. Edge rusher, maybe get another pass rusher out there. Linebacker, do we need some more depth? Offense, do you need another receiver? People just want to add weapons like crazy anyways. You need another receiver. Right guard, is Tyler Steen the guy? You want to add somebody else there? You could throw out anything you want to, and you could nitpick it to death. But ultimately, and like you said a second ago, the talent on this roster, it's loaded. If you have the right scheme in place, if we stay healthy, I mean, it's a question of who and how does somebody beat this team, or how does this team lose, more than 3 or 4 games if they're completely healthy. Now, that's a huge if, because they were very fortunate last year, very healthy, all things considered. There were some that they had to make shift with Fred Johnson and left tackle, right tackle, moving some guys around in spot starts. But overall, they were a very healthy football team. If you have to go through and, have a little bit more this next season, maybe some more adversity. But I don't know that there's another team that you'd go, because everyone's facing some minor things or at least some minor things. There's some teams that have glaring weaknesses. I don't know if there's another team that you look at it and say, yeah, they're just a complete roster and there's just no issues. There's no concerns, no holes on it. The Eagles are right there at the top, so they're absolutely in a fantastic spot. It just comes down to, can they be healthy? And like Ross said, anything we add, I'm with you. It's an absolute bonus.
Yeah, Howie Roseman's kind of put this team in a position that a lot of other GMs wish they were in. I mean, they're just, even the players that they lost, like we mentioned earlier, they already had kind of in-house replacements working their way up. It's almost like they're treating it like the G League, where they had these guys kind of working in their system, playing a little bit of snaps, not the workload necessarily that they're going to play in 2025, but they saw the field like a Moro Ajomo and guys like that. And now they're going to be asked to step up, and they already have that experience. They're not necessarily, because even Kelee Ringo, going back a couple of years to his rookie year, he started 3 or 4 games and was able to see the field. I know it was a different defensive scheme, but he's got a little bit of experience too. So, I mean, if you really want to get nitpicky, you could say that second cornerback spot with Kelee Ringo or Dory Jackson, and then the second safety spot with Drew Nakobe and Sidney Brown, those are legitimate questions, because those guys aren't necessarily ever have been full-time starters outside of Dory Jackson. But ideally, given his age and things like that, you don't want him being the starter. The Eagles want Kelee Ringo to win that job. That's basically why they only brought a guy like Dory Jackson in, is they don't really want him legitimately fighting for the job. I feel like they want him to just compete for the job and just actually win it in the end. But I mean, like I said, outside of that, you're talking about, who's going to be their tight end in 2026, or who's their fourth linebacker if Nakobe Dean and Jihaad Campbell aren't ready to play, or who's their backup nose tackle. There's little things that other teams, where, like you said, there's teams that don't know who 2 or 3 of their starting offensive linemen are going to be, or who's going to be their second edge rusher, or who's going to be their number 1 outside cornerback. It's just, there are some teams in rough shape, where the Eagles are in a really good spot, even coming off a Super Bowl win where they lost several starters in free agency. Like, they're in a great spot.
Yeah. Imagine just trying to, piece together an offensive line, be like, oh, we got to get a makeshift offensive line, or, who's going to be our where's our pass rush going to come from? Are we going to have a solidified middle? Do we have a potential all-pro defensive tackle? Do we have an all-pro linebacker? Like, who's going to play there? There's so many areas. The corners, you've got all over the place. Tyler with a 5. Appreciate that, Tyler. Says, this is obviously bias, but I truly don't know. Well, I guess this continues along with what we were talking about here. This is obviously biased, but I truly don't know how the Eagles lose a game if their offense and defense is like the Super Bowl and if they stay healthy. The first part of that, if they play like they did in the Super Bowl, they're not losing a football game. There's just, it's firing on all cylinders. The defense locked down, creating turnovers, getting sacks, and then the offense just playing complementary football. Yes, if they play like they did in the Super Bowl, I don't think that they'll lose. But again, like we said, it's staying healthy, winning the turnover battle. If they have some games where it's a little bit more shaky, not playing complementary football, because we did see some closer games last year too, and we even mentioned the Panthers of all games and all teams. That one should have lost. Jalen getting injured against Washington. Probably would not have lost had Jalen gotten injured, but he did. Lost in Washington. So it can happen. But I don't think that what Tyler said is incorrect. If they play like they did in the Super Bowl, and especially if they're healthy, then they don't lose like that.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it just comes down to that last sentence, right? It's like, if they're healthy, because that's kind of one of the things why I picked them to go 12-5 next year and not repeat as Super Bowl champions, is because I do think that maybe injuries pop up a little bit more. And I know people say, oh, it's not injury luck, it's because they're strength and conditioning team and their practice habits, things like that, which is totally true. That could also be the reason. But there are going to be times where Dallas Goedert's essentially guaranteed to miss like at least 4 games a season at this point, right? It seems like. So then Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata will each miss a game or two here and there. And then who knows if Jalen Hurts gets injured? Like, obviously that would be the real devastating one. But then other pieces on the defense could go down. If Zach Bond goes down, what's the situation at linebacker? If Quinyon Mitchell or Cooper DeJean go down, that changes a lot at cornerback. So, as long as they stay healthy, obviously they could potentially go, 15-2 or 14-3 and like be the repeated Super Bowl champions. But I just don't think they're going to get as lucky as they necessarily did. And I don't know, people don't like me using that word, but I think it does kind of factor in, because like you said, if Xavier Leggett doesn't drop that ball and they lose that game, if the ball bounces a different way, the field goal goes in or doesn't go, there's so many different factors that play in throughout those 17 games of the regular season that can kind of change everything. So it's going to be fun to watch, because like you said, the talent is just through the roof. The expectations are through the roof, and rightfully so.
If Jalen Carter doesn't get a sack of Matt Stafford in the waning moments of the...
I have to hear about that every day at work. So they remind me, like, oh, your heart was beating out of your chest, because we got stuck at work on an overtime job.
I forgot about that. Yes.
They're like, your heart was beating out of your chest. You couldn't even watch. I was like, yeah, what do you want me to say? It was a close game. I was nervous.
But it was, yes. And
they don't ask how you won. They ask if you won, right? And they won that game. So
they did. They won the game. That's all that matters. As Jalen Hurts says, winning is the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter how it looks, and the fact that they got it done. And I think we were texting about this. Even did like a preview before the Rams game, and we were both saying, I'm more concerned about the Rams game than I would be for the NFC Championship game. Like, just call it what it is. I'm more concerned about playing that caliber of a team, and if it gets it to be a close game. But whenever Saquon broke that run to go up by what should have been 14, and then Elliott missed the extra point, then you're like, all right, well, okay. I don't know. Then they score quickly. Yeah, and then they score quickly, and then the terrible offensive play calls. It's a quick 3 and out and kick it right back to the Rams. It's like, oh my gosh, we're watching the Atlanta game again. Like, this is literally a reincarnation of that. They're going to march right down the field. Time is not even an issue anymore. And then Jalen Carter shows up on the whatever it was, 68th, 69th snap of the game for him. Makes 2 back-to-back plays, a sack, and then a pressure in Matt Stafford's face, throw it away, ball game. Get me fired up. It's good to go back and
That game was
relive
unbelievable.
those
I kind of
moments.
just get stressed out thinking about it, even though we already know the result. But it's just like,
No, you could put yourself back in that place though, because I was, man, the stream and everything else. I was like, you got to be kidding me! This is gonna happen. It's like, oh my gosh, we're gonna lose, And obviously, because of the TV angle, you can't see down the field. So when Stafford's getting ready to throw it, I'm thinking I'm about to see a wide receiver wide open. Like I'm getting prepared for it. I know probably should have more faith, but I was ready in that moment. I was like, this is gonna happen. You got to be kidding me! And but JC did it, which is I didn't plan this, but not a bad shirt to be wearing, as we're going to talk about that. So, all right, about to do the giveaway. People asking, people wondering. Got two things to draw for. So, last super chat I believe, and then we'll do that. Tyler with a 5 says, I just can't wait for Chase Daniels to bite his tongue when he beats the brakes off the Chargers and his little girlfriend, Justin Herbert, gets humbled.
I mean, I've said it before, but people have to realize, like, being a TV personality, these guys are pretty much told to say certain things. They have to play certain roles. So I don't know how much of what Chase Daniels says is actually what he believes. I mean, granted, it's well documented that he wasn't too happy in Philadelphia when he was there. So maybe he does hold a little bit of extra hatred, like for the Eagles and deep down inside. But at the same time, a lot of it is kind of played up on TV as well. I don't know if he necessarily they know that this, especially Eagles fans, are passionate about the team and they have a huge presence on social media. So they know if they say a certain negative thing, and that's why a lot of sites write the way they do and cover the Eagles the way they do. They know whatever they say about the Eagles is going to get covered by more writers and more blogs and more YouTubers and anybody else. So they know what they're doing. It's all kind of part of their strategy.
100%. Yep. Like you say, whether it's the difficulty because we don't know if they believe it. And the hard part is you go literally one day, and I forget which video it was because we did so many, but there was one that I in particular did to show like Chase Daniels' take, and it was the week of shows, and like 3 or 4 of the days they were talking about the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, and it was almost like the complete polar opposite take of Jalen. So I was like, and I just played them as a little sequential, and it was play one, and then I was like the SpongeBob, few moments later, play the next one, and it was like, oh, Jalen Hurts is like lucky and fortunate and blah, blah. How good is Jalen Hurts? He's been phenomenal for this team. I'll tell you what, Jalen Hurts is the one most benefit from a team carrying him and blah, blah, blah. And then right back to the next one of like, hey, I've been amazed at how Jalen Hurts seeing the football field. And you're like, are you kidding me? This is 4 successive days in the same week, and you have gone back and forth on these others. But like you say, they got to have something to talk about. They do things to get clicks and views and all this emotion. And in a production meeting, sometimes, they throw an idea out there and say, hey, we need somebody to take one side of the argument, one person take the other side, and they don't care. They don't care if someone's watched it before and been like, wait a second, but you were a Jalen Hurts hater, or wait a second, you were a Jalen Hurts supporter, and now you're literally flip-flopping the next day. So it is what it is. All right, we're going to do this for the giveaway. Let's see, comment on... Somebody was asking, how do you get on it? I'll share it very quickly. You got a split second, but if you have not already, comment on the video. There's a link there in the comment section. If you go to that one, it'll take you to a different video, but you can click on that, comment. It's any comment. So I just kind of left it open, but any comment on that video, or just go back to the last one, the most recent video. I mean, those are both the same thing, but the most recent one will get you entered. Wait for a split second. Matt Skills asking Chris Sims. Yeah, Chris Sims has done the same thing. I shared his on, I think, maybe the last video. It's a very recent one that I talked about his, but I've almost just stopped watching all those all together. Every once in a while, it'll get like pop up on my Twitter feed, and then I'll just, I'll use it more for just comedy, if nothing else. But 5 more memberships that we just gifted out there, so congratulations. Thomas got one. OG Daily got one. Evil Dorking, South Philly. Jamil, congratulations. There you go.
Oh, and I just want to touch on one more comment that I saw before.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody had asked about the Fanatics Fest because
good point.
Cooper
Yes.
DeJean, Brian Dawkins, Nick Foles, and I think Brandon Graham are going to be there, like doing like a panel. I said it on Twitter, but I don't know if people don't follow me or not, and I think we're going to talk about it later this week, but I did get credentialed for all 3 days of Fanatics Fest, so I will be there covering that, writing, trying to create any kind of content I can out of that. I'll be tweeting obviously a lot about it, probably sharing clips with Josh and recording whatever I can. So we'll see what happens. So
Let's
I'm
go.
excited. It's going to be the first thing that I'm actually credentialed for the PhillySpecialShow.com. So it's kind of a monumental moment for us. So that's kind of cool. So we'll see what happens. The only thing is, so that panel is happening on Sunday. I didn't tell you this yet, but because I technically work my full-time job on Sundays, but I put in for the day off. I requested it, so hopefully it gets approved. But well, no, we'll have to.
Ooh,
I might not be
okay.
able to make it that day. I might be there just Friday and Saturday. But either way, I'll be covering whatever I can from an Eagles slant, kind of bringing everybody all the coverage I can from there.
There you go. Much appreciated. Hopefully that works out. Hopefully you get the acceptance on the PTO request. But otherwise, I heard that it sounds like a one-on-one interview with Cooper DeJean, then a one-on-one interview with BG, and a one-on-one with Brian Dawkins. So good for you. Good
That
for you.
is not what it is, but it is
People are
kind of
gonna be
cool.
like,
Just
wow.
like it's, I attended just Saturday. Last year was the first year of the Fanatics Fest. I attended last year only on Saturday as like a fan. Me and my brother went. It was a great event. So now it's kind of like a full circle moment where literally a year later, covering it as a credentialed media member for all 3 days is kind of crazy. So I'll definitely have to like take a step back and take it all in. But I'm really excited. And if anybody is going to be there, feel free to message me on Twitter or Instagram, whatever, and YouTube even, and I'll try and meet up with you guys. That'll be fun as well.
There you go. You say if you see a guy looking like Anthony, it's most likely him.
Yeah,
So
it's probably me.
keep an eye out there. Also, just a little, well, I don't know, just a little tease, I suppose, because there's absolutely nothing official, but we'll see if we can make this work. We're trying to. Speaking of credentialed, if we're blessed and have good favor with Big Dom or others, maybe we can get Anthony credentialed for Eagles games. So there's nothing confirmed about that. We're just putting that out there, though. It's good vibes and positivity, hopefully so.
Just
But
throw it out there. See what
stay
happens,
tuned,
right?
right? Because you never know these days. It's been crazy how far this thing's come in 2 years, and hey, next thing you know, maybe Dom's making a call and be like, "All right, Anthony, you got it."
Listen, you
We're gonna
miss
play the
100% of
Italian
the
card.
shots that you don't take, right? Oh yeah, I gotta sew an
Yes,
Italian flag into one of the sides, and maybe right in the front. We'll just
honestly,
go
that
all,
made you better. Made you better too. It's like, oh, okay, there you go. Yes. So
we'll go all in.
whatever it takes. Okay, I think I got this thing set up. Mentioned for the giveaways. So got the comments here. Let's see. What should we do first? We'll do the Nolan Smith signed jersey. So this is for the Nolan Smith signed jersey giveaway first. Good luck all. I'll share the screen here in a second. Here we go. Good luck to everybody. See who wins it. Have a little bit of time to claim it, but who will it be? Be great to be somebody on the stream. It is Smiles for you. Smiles for you. I don't know if Smiles is on the stream or not, but had Fly Eagles Fly with multiple Eagles emojis. So Smiles, you have won the Nolan Smith signed jersey. This is unique and special because this was, sometimes you get it and it's like, okay, where did they sign it in person, or what is it? One that was, like on a different site that you're purchasing and just shipped to you and stuff. This was me in person at the Novacare Complex, Nolan signing it, giving some life advice to some people there too. So it's legit. We got proof of the picture and the video as well. But congratulations, Smiles. You've won it. If you're here, that's fantastic. If not, I will post it on an upcoming video. You'll have a week to claim. Chat, as always, you know how this works. If we don't hear from Smiles, we'll be back on a live stream in a week and give it away to somebody on the stream. So it does pay to be here on the live stream. It's been a little bit since people have not claimed it, but I'm starting to feel like off-season, summer vacations.
They might be sleeping, right? They might be
people,
forgetting.
yeah, just asleep at the wheel there. So
That's it.
we'll see. But the other thing to give away, right? So we've given this one to Smiles. Congratulations. Hit me up on social media or email the PhillySpecialShow@gmail.com. Get a hold of me somehow so you can confirm that, get your info, get that out to you. But Smiles, you have won. The other thing is the Saquon helmet, which we'll do. Ross, that's a good point too. Start making a giveaway to only people in the live stream or a separate one. We've done that quite a few different times, but not for this one, unfortunately, just because I already promised it for subscribers. But we do both, and certainly during the season. So this helmet, like I mentioned, I grabbed the wrong one. This is the Philly Dogs helmet, but it's literally the exact same, but it's got Saquon's autograph in the other room. So giving away the Saquon signed helmet to somebody else. We'll spin again here and see who this goes to. So good luck again. Second try. See if they're on the stream. That'd be great. And it is, come on, Wolfgang Sanier? Wolfgang Sanier, 3544. Any sort of comment, go Birds. That's what they answered, because I said I said for the video, I was like, just go down to the comment section and put any sort of comment. So they literally,
that's kind of funny.
It is pretty funny. They just put any sort of comment and then also put go Birds. So let's go. Wolfgang Sanier. Don't know how to pronounce that really, but congratulations. You've also won. Hopefully you're here. I don't know if I saw a comment, but it'd be great if you are. Same thing as before, though. If you won, JD, what's up, man? See you in the comment section. But you've won the Saquon Barkley signed helmet, Super Bowl helmet. The man himself, 26. Same deal. Email me, thephillyspecialshow@gmail.com, or one of the socials.
I feel like we've got quite a bit of people in here for what should be an off-season kind of stream.
Yeah.
Do you want to give something else away that kind of I mentioned beforehand that we going to hint at it?
We could. I mean, if people
just exclusively to the people in the chat, kind of reward them for being dedicated.
Might as well.
So
yeah, let's do that real quick. I was just going to say one real quick to to Wolfgang. Same thing applies. Again, hit me up with the socials. thephillyspecialshow@gmail.com. Email or socials. I'll get it to you. You have a week. I'll say that to the chat too. If they do not claim, same thing applies. So, I mean, we literally could be back on here in a week and have the Saquon helmet and the Nolan helmet, which will go to people on the live stream. But, okay, here we go. Anthony coming in clutch, as John says.
So, I was going to give these away on Twitter, run a little giveaway. People have seen me doing giveaways on there and whatnot, but let's do it now for everybody in the live chat. So, I'm a big sports card fan. I've given out a couple autographed sports cards, but this was one that I recently picked up. So let's go ahead and give away a Zach Bond autographed rookie card, Wisconsin uniform. From 2020 rookie year. It's a sticker autograph, but it's on there. So, yeah, I mean, Josh can choose the phrase, but everybody feel free to enter for that, and I'll ship it away tomorrow probably if somebody gives me their address. So I'm excited. Thank you guys for your support, and I feel like it's a little bit of a way of giving back to people that are actually in the chat tonight.
Look at that. Coming in clutch, as they say. So you got a Zach Bond rookie card, Bald Eagle rookie card.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Let me get the comments ready.
And you know what? Let's add another stipulation. You got to go click and bookmark thephillyspecialshow.com to support the articles and the content that I do on there if you want. I know there's no way to prove that, so if you could take the time to do that, it would mean a lot.
Honor system, yes.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. How about we do, okay, I'm going to start capturing it here. Let me make sure. Okay, it is capturing now. So here's what we're going to do for the live giveaway for the Bald Eagle himself. You just need to type in and enter Bald Eagle. That's all you got to do. Plain and simple. Any comment that says Bald Eagle from the point that I've said it right now is going to get counted. Now, don't say it twice after I've said this now. Like, don't say it twice because you'll get kicked. So if you said it, you're good. You don't need to say it again. But Bald Eagle, that's all you got to do in the comments. In this live stream, you will be entered. And good luck to you.
Sorry, I had another one in there, but I feel like it was only right.
We'll see. No, I like that. And here come the Bald Eagle comments. That's good.
I saw somebody else sent a super chat for where I got the hat from. I was going to send it in the chat now, but it's just going to disappear with all the Bald Eagles. So we could talk about that afterwards.
We'll get it in a second. Yes. Tracy, thank you. Love the shirt. This is JC's from his site. So the Breadman shirt. Got that whenever it first came out, like, gosh, a year and a half ago. It's been forever now. And yes, David did ask Anthony, where'd you get the hat? Which we had the link there a second ago, but we can post it again once these Bald Eagle comments.
So I could just say it for now. It's, if you can spell it out, it's just referencecolimited.com is the website. So referencecolimited.com, and they actually have a couple different kind of Eagles Philadelphia themed hats, but they do some good stuff. Not sponsored once again, but maybe after this stream, if they have a bunch of sales, I might have to reach out and be, hey, listen, people were tuning into the live stream. They like the hat. Yep. They were asking about the hat. I know Josh doesn't wear too many hats, but you might have to send them some.
Okay, I would wear one. Yes, I would. The funny thing is, I wear a decent amount of hats just outside of, like, streaming and, like, I don't know, because I feel like
I'll give away the hat.
I'll wear it
when Josh reaches 150,000 subscribers. I'll autograph a hat and I'll.
There we go.
It'll be a stream used hat, not a game used jersey. It'll be a stream used hat.
There's multiple people too. They're like, give away the hat, give away the hat. I like it. Rafa, you're not going to get counted. I said if you did multiple comments, it kicks you on the deal. You got to do one. So unfortunately, not listening to the rules there. That's a bummer. Okay, I think we have just about everybody. So we should be good now. I've got lots of comments here. So let's share. And good luck. Please still be on the stream. If you've exited out, that would be awful. But here we go. Who will it be? Who is the winner? It's Crazy Grampy. Crazy Grampy with a Bald Eagle comment. Crazy, are you still here? We need to see you. Comment. Come on.
Guys, they'll be in the chat. This is only for the real ones.
Please be present. Just comment anything.
I hope I didn't just start.
Comment anything back. Yeah, no, because then all of a sudden it's gonna be like, if he's not here, by the way, if we don't see him, we will spin again. So don't leave yet. This is the Zach Bond rookie card. Come on, Crazy. We got to see you back. Yes, there we go. He's back. Yep. That's awesome.
So don't bother reaching out to Josh. You can message me either on here, on Twitter at DiBona NFL, Instagram DiBona NFL, and the sooner you send me your address, I'll send it out to you. So probably by tomorrow, if you can get it to me tonight. So this is yours. There'll be more in the future. Don't worry. I'll be sure to have some more for just live streams in the future and things like that. So.
Yep. I'm proof that he's got a pretty good stash of rookie cards.
Josh, yeah, I've been sending stuff to Josh as I've been acquiring them. So I've got quite a bit of a lineup built. And
you sent me I'll say this, you sent me a signed Nolan Smith rookie card, which that will not be given away. So
that wasn't rookie. That's second year. You might have a rookie.
Second year. Sorry.
You might have a rookie card coming your way, probably tomorrow. So.
Whoa, hey now. Okay, so we got the rookie in the second year. Let's go. Okay. I was gonna say, yeah, no, I got the other cards that came in, the protectors.
I'm slowly trying to get Josh into cards, but I don't know if it's working or not. But
I mean, hey, come on.
I'll still be doing it.
Let's see. Was there anybody else? Oh, yes. Okay. Ross saying, Josh, will you be at the Fanatics Fest? Also, I will not. Unfortunately, I will not be there. But Anthony's going to have it locked down. Maybe one of these days. I've done a decent amount of traveling and the vacation and the trips and everything else. So should be there for training camp. I'm going to be going back up to Philly anyway for training camp. So don't know which day yet. But we have the confirmation that we are going to get invited. So maybe some more details and info. But camp doesn't start till July 22nd, 23rd. So have some time. But okay, well, I think that does it for us. Good coverage on just about everything. Other content, everything else planned. Like I say, if you're watching this thing back, I'll have links in the description. If you've bookmarked the PhillySpecialShow.com, we very much appreciated more articles and content coming from the Ant-Man himself. Follow him at DiBona NFL. Also follow me if you want to at the PHI Special. I'm not as active Anthony on Twitter. I'm usually just reposting most of the time Anthony's tweets, but
We're getting there. We're getting there.
we're a little bit more. Yes, we're being active as we can, but more content, more videos planned in the future. Should have something tomorrow. Also planning most likely a Friday drop, kind of a weekend, so you could peruse it, get to it over the weekend if you need to. But tomorrow a video, probably also one Friday, and who knows, maybe you see Anthony on that one as well. So just stay tuned.
More of this ugly face. No, I'm kidding.
There you go. Well, congrats to the winners again. Also, I will announce it like I mentioned on the videos, but I got a iffy feeling about this one. I'm going to announce it on a couple of videos, but it's summer like we mentioned, so these may not be claimed. So the Nolan Smith jersey could be back up for grabs. We'll do it and give it away on the live stream if they don't claim it. Same thing for the Saquon Barkley helmet. I'll say it again, though, a million times. Thank you, guys. Could not do this without you. We're almost to 131,000 subscribers, or maybe we passed that on the stream here. I'm not sure, but we're basically right there. So for Anthony DiBona, everybody have a great night. As always, go Birds.